In today's video, we're gonna be talking about what separates beginners from London system experts. Main point of this video being to help you become a London system master without having to study hundreds of hours. Now, I know some of you may be like, oh, I already know how to play the London system quite well. I mean, at the end of the day, what can even be so difficult? You just get the bishop out, you push the pawns, you get the little pyramid going, and you just get a game. You may be wondering. Well, yes, and actually, no. That would be leaving a lot of money on the table. Let me explain. I think before we dive right into the actual content, best is to just test you out in a couple of very typical London positions, and let's see if you are reacting in the optimal way. We can take this as the first example where black has just gone for the move bishop to e7, which typically just looks like they are preparing to castle, nothing interesting going on so far. But in fact, if you are following up with the so-called London Pyramid by playing the move c3, they will be able to go knight h5 and basically get your bishop. You don't want that. Now that you know, this becomes a threat. You can, let's say, pause for a few seconds in this position and perhaps try to stop black from initiating this idea. And in case you are thinking, all right, then now that I know we have to play the move h3, this is actually what I believe most of the people would do. But in fact, it is quite a big inaccuracy. You may be wondering, how is this an inaccuracy? Well, one of the main London system plans is to just, let's say, finish development. Yeah, bishop goes to d3, we play knight e5, and then the queen goes to f3, and then slides all the way to h3. So if you put your pawn onto that square, you are already missing a lot of value. Let's take a different example. We have this scenario where black is playing the symmetrical setup, and we go for the move bishop d3, which they will most of the times take according to the statistics. Now, big question for you. What is the best way to recapture on d3? Should we take with a pawn, or should we take with a queen, this way developing another piece? So in case you decided to go with the later option, let me tell you that queen takes on d3 is by far the most common move, but in my opinion, it is definitely not the best. Moving on with another example, something that is perhaps the most annoying thing for the London system players is whenever black goes for this kind of early knight h5 type of moves. Even in this position, let's say, where they are attacking the bishop, and what typically happens, the white players just give back on keeping the bishop pair by playing the move bishop to g3, which is actually not the best because black is able to win the bishop pair and therefore get a very comfortable game, despite the fact that white has this open file, which is not really gonna be very helpful at the end of the day. So if that's something that you're interested in today's video, I'm gonna be walking you through my thinking process as an international master facing opponents that are about 1500 in Blitz. We're gonna be going over all of these themes and many more. So please feel free to use the timestamps from the description, pick what you need, and let's get started. All right, everybody, getting another game. I'm gonna be trying out d4 and hopefully we can get another little London system. Opponent goes bishop f5, which typically will just transpose back into the copycat variation after something like knight f6. And now, whenever I get this type of like bishop to f5 lines with a pawn on e6, so not the Slav. Against the Slav, we generally go c4, queen b3, putting pressure on b7. That will be a little bit risky this time. Not completely out of the ordinary when they play a6, but typically there is this little idea to play the move bishop to d3. And when they take, this is gonna give us a very juicy opportunity of taking, and we're gonna be getting these like very juicy pawns. And in order to understand why are these pawns actually so nice, You can actually think of them as, let's say, two Romanian cops that are helping each other, like one that knows how to read and the other one that knows how to write, basically making like an unstoppable team against the crimes. So the pawns will be able to advance and then just keep a massive center, giving us good control over the whole board. So just gonna go knight c3, avoiding any weird nonsense related to queen b4 ideas and preparing e4. He is creating a bit of a threat. Nothing really all that scary. Yeah, just thinking what is like the optimal way of dealing with it, because typically queen goes to b3 in this structure. Not now, when he can take and give us double isolated pawns. Yeah, probably we'll just stick with rook b1. He may also be willing to do c5 type of ideas. So I think just as a prophylactic move against c5, I'm gonna go queen d2. Main point being that c5 I have knight a4. He no longer has these squares to check me and we get to win a pawn. Plays h6. Now we can either castle and give up on the attacking fantasy, or we can play rook c1, and I think that's the move. Just always rook on the open file, staying as flexible as we can. Still, we have this ideas to expand, but maybe now that he has a hook, this becomes interesting as well. Could also go like knight a4, knight to c5, going for, yeah, some kind of queenside pressure. If I go a3, perhaps knight a5 could be a little bit annoying, like knight a4, queen b5. It's not entirely clear. Yeah, I think this is a very reasonable move. Just getting the knight towards c5, kind of no matter what he does. Putting pressure on b7. Now, because he has exchanged bishops, like e4 will be coming with, let's say, will be less threatening. Imagine we would have played e4 in this position with the bishop on g3. Like, let's say he goes knight f6, we play e4. Sorry for the little confusion. Yeah, let's say he goes knight f6, we play e4, and then we have a threat of e5. Basically winning a piece, so it's kind of forcing him to take. He already took in the game, so now we just get to like use the perks of having these open files. Also can use this idea, activating the knight. Okay, he develops with knight f6, pretty typical idea. Perhaps a little bit more accurate for me would have been to start with g4, so that I would have had g5 at this point. Don't worry about that. I think you can just go for typical queenside play with b4. b6 is already losing, I think, a bit of material, so feel free to pause the video and come up with a move in case he plays b6. Point is, the knight remains undefended, so there is knight e6, pawn takes, and rook takes c6, regaining the piece and keeping an extra pawn. With this, he's attacking b4, which do we really care? I mean, a3 is the kind of move that I would play instantly, but he seems to be preparing some kind of a5 business there. Maybe we should actually take it at least a bit serious. I think I'm just gonna go rook b1. It looks like a strange move to play once you have the rook on the open file, but the point is to meet a5 with b5. So it's all about controlling his potential counterplay on the queen side. On knight b4, it's almost getting the knight trapped. I'm saying almost because it's actually not getting the knight trapped. So he has knight back anywhere just because my rook is undefended, so I cannot really capture that knight. Not sure he's gonna notice, which is like sometimes the nice part of playing these games. So just panicked. Took on d3, as I was saying. He clearly forgot about that square, and we basically have an extra piece. I'm gonna have to speed up a little bit because we have less than a minute, so just gonna go like 95, idea to fork as well. So Probably we will be winning thanks to this like g5 idea. He takes, I play knight d7, he takes, and we get some kind of queen h7 checkmate. Maybe not. But that would just be kind of like an educated guess. Let's just put it that way. Okay, preparing to play maybe this. I actually don't see a checkmate, and that is usually because there is no checkmate. So yeah, how about we just expand? Wanna do it this way. At this point, kind of like no matter what you play, you're gonna be having a winning position, but that's not giving you an excuse for playing like an absolute goofball. So please pay attention to what is going on to the board. We get like a quadruple fork or something insane. Just picking up the queen, and with 30 seconds, we should be able to clean up the board. Just like, you know, you have a favorable position in snooker, and the guy just like puts all the balls. It's not, it doesn't really matter who has the edge. The fact that you have the turn, it's more important. I mean, here in this case, not gonna lie, the fact that we have an extra queen does affect the situation a little, but yeah. Just the fact that we're a bit low on time shouldn't make a huge difference. Rook f8, cute idea, by the way. Magnet sacrifice. Hopefully he plays knight e7, and yeah, we go for it. He has to take, and then we have queen f7. Pretty nice little detail to finish the game with. And yeah, looks like played a bit of a perfect game. Yeah, got a 94. I have to say, this was like way more difficult than it looked, because we really had to find this rook b1 was the hardest move of the game. I'm curious whether it was like the best or only move. Okay, so apparently 95, rook b1 or a3 are kind of the same. I couldn't really figure out what to do on a5. Oh, apparently you can sacrifice the pawn with b5. This is the only move that keeps a massive advantage. Yeah, I would assume that black's queen is almost getting trapped. Yeah, this is a threat, and knight b7 is also a threat. Actually, rook b1, rook b7 is coming. And yeah, usually when you have positions like this, you just want to keep an advantage like without sacrificing if possible. So yeah, just no risk. The way we did it. And well, we just have a very nice position, kind of like no matter what he does, in case he castles, perhaps we're ready to play 95 already, and we have g4, g5 ideas. Please keep in mind that taking is already a mistake, because he has to move the knight, and then we will be getting a pretty massive fork. So, in case he does not castle, maybe we do the same. Maybe we can consider ideas to castle by hand, go rook h4, and try to push the pawns. No matter how you play it, white will keep a better position because of this nice pawn structure that's kind of controlling all the critical squares. So with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game. All right, everybody, getting another white game. Gonna be going d4 and okay, against d5. Most likely we are about to get typical London system. In case he plays any like weird sidelines, bishop g4, c5, that could deviate. On bishop f5, however, yeah, just gonna go bishop to f4, and most likely we will be getting transposition into what I like to call the copycat in my London system course. Gonna be going e3. I would expect a move like e6 here, but interestingly enough, opponent decided that it was a good moment to play knight h5, which is definitely pretty brave on his part. Now, it's actually an interesting position because I have no idea how to react against this. Intuition says bishop e5, and then on f6, slide the bishop back. It is what it is. Could also do bishop g5, h6, bishop h4. I would guess he wants g5, and then knight e5 is strong. Yeah, that feels like a bit better. Typically, you want to avoid just playing bishop g3 and giving him the bishop pair so easily. So yeah, just going there and g5. Important to go for this intermediate move, I feel like. And if he just goes back with a knight, we managed to kind of keep the bishop, and he did weakened his king side. So make sure to remember this king knight e5 move, creating now nasty double attack. I think he's forced to play bishop e6, which is already putting him in a pretty difficult spot. Yeah, he manages to find it. I mean, obviously there is simple move, picking up the pawn. But typically, whenever you have an initiative like this, you kind of really want to take advantage of the momentum. So I'm trying to figure out whether there's like any quick bishop d3, bishop g6 kind of ideas to try and put pressure on onto f7. And oh boy, we have such a juicy tactical idea. This is absolutely insane. I think it's quite rare. And it's so rare that it may not even be working. I was thinking knight f7 should win. Bishop takes bishop g6. But there is one move that I think keeps him alive, which is like such a pity he has rook h7 and we cannot take the rook. Wow, that is wild. Would have been so beautiful. Anyways, moving on with our miserable lives. Can we go bishop g6 right away? That is the question. I'll show that in the post-analysis game, by the way, in case you got confused by the ultra high-level analysis. Obviously, just kidding with that. Yeah, bishop g6 right away, knight takes, queen takes, rook g8. There's queen e6, rook g6. Still not doing much progress. Okay, you know what? Time to keep it simple. Take d7, take h4. Just gonna cash in the free pawn and carry on with our life. Okay, up a pawn. No weaknesses whatsoever. Plays e6. Happy to enter the endgame with the extra pawn. Yeah, I'm gonna play the typical pawn pyramid, I guess. Then we're about to play yeah, in standard fashion, when c4 gets played, okay, he attacks this. Notice that I'm placing all my pawns on the opposite color of my bishop, so that the bishop is actually having quite a nice time moving around. So just for the aesthetic, I'm going to put literally all of my pawns on the dark square, so my bishop will basically move like a boss. Now, I can do f3, e4. You typically just want to see your bishop as it was like a Ferrari. I think that's how you want to approach these positions. Would you like keep your Ferrari in the basement? No. You want to have it open. So why would you ever put your pawns on the same color and restrict it? That would not make a whole lot of sense. Sorry. Sorry to tell. But yeah, now we actually, because the position is pretty closed, we really need to come up with like a pawn break, and I think that is e4. Because yeah, going for a pawn break in close positions like this, it's almost like opening up a window in like a smelly room. So unless you're the one that needs to be taking a shower, that will typically solve the problem. So we managed to open up the file, which definitely will make it easier to convert. Check he has b5, so not quite working yet. Instinct says to double up, but maybe he wants bishop g5, so I'm just going to play knight f3. Kind of prophylactic. Maybe we don't need that move. Oh, he wants h4. Oh my god, opponent has a frat. Would have thought he can be creating frats. I'm just gonna sidestep so he can take h4 whenever he goes aggressive. He is actually starting to get like a little bit of counterplay. I'm a little bit nervous with less than a minute with a position that's not ultra obvious to win. But I will count on some help from my opponent Hopefully he'll play rook h7. The bishop is waiting like a sniper in the bushes to take that rook. Sadly, he didn't fall for it, but still. Okay, rook g8 infiltrating. I don't know why what we're infiltrating for, but improving the position is always good. Maybe king starts to march next, trying to make use of our extra pawn, you know, hopefully, because it's an endgame, the extra pawn will start to tell. Yeah. The fact that his bishop is so passive makes our position, yeah, quite easily winning, I would say. But hey, we still gotta watch out for stuff. It wouldn't be the first game that I had a winning position and failed to convert. King g3, h4. Could also do rook f6 if I wanna induce rook trade. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty clean. Look at this. Has no way to. I mean, he has a way, but he won't play it. Because I can read the 1400's mind in case you're new to the channel. Now the point was to play this move, and hopefully he was playing bishop e8. I had a nice tactic, but he didn't allow. Come on, check. He doesn't want to check me. Okay, I'm gonna go. Where do I go? We got nowhere to go. You're gonna go there. Now push. Time to push. 20 seconds left. No pressure. Let me sort of set up this barrier so that the rook will be useless. Cutting yeah, any squares so that it can try to be annoying. King, please go back, and that is gonna be mate on the board. So apparently I made one blunder. Curious what that was. Perhaps it's not really a blunder. It's just like I had a much bigger advantage and I chose a smaller one. No, I don't get it. Like queen h4. This can't be the blunder for sure. Where is the blunder? With blunder? Oh, I just played like an 1850. Thank you. I'll take that chess.com. Oh, you cannot see it. I'll need to move a bit. Appreciate that. Definitely very accurate. That is actually, I feel flattered by the chess.com coach for saying so. Yeah, I actually thought this was like a pretty clean game. I don't really get what the blunder was. Curious to check though. On knight h5, I feel like we had the optimal play. Bishop g5 and then knight e5 top line, as you can see. This is quite important. And then white is obviously much better. Apparently, I failed to spot f4, f5 idea, which would have been really kind of doing what I was saying, keeping up the momentum. You know, like, I know how chess works in general and what are the right ideas. I may sometimes have problems implementing it, but hey, if you feel the same, don't worry about it. Like, you can always become a chess YouTuber, so you don't actually need to be decent at chess. So you will be sort of set for life. Anyways, play bishop to d3, and then it was such a pity. I thought this was winning, but it's actually a blunder because my idea was we go bishop g6, and he almost has no way of defending because takes is checkmate because king has no moves. But he has rook h7, and if we take rook, queen remains hanging. So I saw that, and I was like really mad. And then we just kind of kept it simple. Position was a bit tricky, but yeah, I feel like we played normal moves. We got like a little bit of counterplay, but after that, once we managed to bring all the pieces, it should just be a walk in the park. Bringing the king was really nice. Like using your king in the endgame is like such a key concept because we were able to like push the pawn I mean, people that are trying to play the endgame without using their king, it's like you need to finish a puzzle, but you have some missing pieces, and you're like, okay, almost doing it, but then you realize, oh, I don't have the final touch or something like that. You get the point, basically. So, yeah, critical mistake for him. Actually, no critical mistake, just this knight h5 thing that was inaccurate. So, with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game. Right, everybody, getting another game. Gonna be trying out the London system, and we do get to face d5. Gonna be playing knight f3 because this is literally the best move order that he can use in case you're waiting to play the London system like a pro, at least for like 2 moves. So opponent goes for e6. Already we get to see the locked bishop, meaning that we will probably be getting an attack against his king while this scenario is happening. And already bishop e7 is quite an interesting move because it comes up with a silent threat of playing knight h5. And typically the way people defend against that is by playing the move h3, which is definitely not what I would recommend if you're looking forward to maximize your potential with this opening. Because there's simply a way better way to do this, and typically problem with h3 is that they can go bishop d6 and you can no longer retreat and take back with the pawn because it's already on h3. So long story short, go knight e5. You may be wondering, cannot we just play knight h5 anyways? Well, no, because the queen can just take it, you bozo. Watch out for that. That's why we do knight e5. Typical move, and it's useful to stop that anyways. Knight e7, just gonna go knight e2. This is always standard way to develop. Gonna be taking with a pawn. This is one of the main ideas, getting rid of the knight, and then the queen is quite ready to join the attack. And this is important position because I feel like you're gonna be getting this scenario quite a lot. And queen g4 looks like a very tempting move, and you can play it, probably get away with it, but it's actually losing in the current position because, well, your opponent has a very surprising g5, bishop has to go back, and then there is h5. And your bishop's gonna get trapped. So you don't want that. Therefore, you gotta play the Alex Banza approach. Go h4. I'm just kidding. It's not my approach. It's just what the computer suggests. Idea is that we are preparing queen g4 so that there is no g5. Plus, this is useful because the rook can join. Opponent goes ahead and castles. I'm gonna go bishop to d3. Sadly, he plays the move f6 instantly, because I would have had a very interesting idea in this position. Let's say having he played c5 or something random, which will come across in the analysis game. Spoiler alert, I think bishop h7 was winning there. On f6, I like starting queen h5, which is basically just forcing him to play f5. If he goes g6, I think he is just gonna be resigning in the next couple of moves, and keep in mind that we're only on move 10, so white is already getting a pretty overwhelming advantage. Now the key idea to remember whenever the pawn structure is sort of well defined like that with f5 is that we need to break with g4. This is how we wanna open this iceberg. And on g4, the only thing to watch out for is to like not get your queen trapped somehow, which hey, I'm sure a lot of you, and myself included, are pretty guilty of. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. g6, queen h6, and then we seem to be able to take. gf5, just checking for a second, nothing interesting there. Gonna go queen there, and he wants bishop f8, so it's not trapping the queen yet. There's always queen g5 and at least a repetition. However, I'm wondering, can we go h5 like anyways? I don't think so. At this point, I was basically just preparing to take, and taking this way is actually a pretty big inaccuracy. Feel free to pause the video and find the winning move for white. It would have been a little bit better for him to take the other way, I guess, but still, pawn on e6 hanging, we can go rook g1. Many moves that should definitely give white a very promising position. On pawn takes, this is just bad because of e6. And we're winning a piece, and bishop f8, we can just escape with a queen. So I know it looks a little bit scary to sort of go like super deep with your queen like that, but we gotta risk it for the biscuit. So here we have it. Bishop to e5. Bishop e5, bishop f6 only move. Could also do h5. He may be willing to play g5. On g5 though, now bishop e5 is stronger because bishop f6 no longer candidate move. And yeah, queen e8 just allows this. Rook f7. Yeah, hg, just pretty clinical finish. Made to come on h8. So just very simple play, pretty straightforward, and make sure to not skip to the next game because there's a very interesting idea that we are about to highlight in the post analysis tab. I mean, okay, just I don't really know why this game is still going. Takes looks to give us a first mate. Can even queen sack for like a nice little final picture. Bishop takes, of course, is pretty easy and more intuitive on king h8, but yeah, queen takes was also doing the job. So if you remember back into this position when he played the move f6, this is very important moment. I said, okay, having he played something normal, I think white already has a winning position, which by the way, if you look at the bar, the chess.com engine, it's like a weaker engine, of course, compared to like what strong players use on a regular basis, like supercomputers from the cloud database. White already has, I think, a winning advantage if you look at it with a decent engine. And I think bishop takes on h7 is the move. Now, bar will go to like -3. Now it stays at like 0. Okay, now we get to see some moves. Okay, 0-0 according to the chess.com engine. But I think this eval will increase if you make some moves. So the point is that after knight f3, there is, see, like the engine is super confused. We're threatening to play knight g5. Yeah, let's say black ignores. We want to go there. Bishop takes, pawn takes. And you see how nice the h4 move is synergizing with that great gift. And we get a mating construction. If he tries f5, g6, and that's just a mate on the board. Plus, if he goes for the better move here, f6, we have knight g5. Really important. This is the key move. And they have to take, otherwise it's just mate. Then we take with the pawn. And in this position, you already can notice how the eval starts jumping into like white's favor. Already like +1. Put it on like a stronger engine. For sure, the score will increase. And we have basically simple frat. And what happens in most of my games, I've done this motive like hundreds of times. You have no ideas. We're playing a 1400 rated guy here. I did this against international masters at least. It's such a surprising and nice motive that really made me pick up the London system in the first place. I mean, people think like, oh, London system, such a boring opening. Why would you play that? That is never fun. I mean, give me an opening that's gonna give you this type of attacking patterns the same way. I've seen like a lot of openings. It's just very hard for me to think of like a more aesthetic motive that can happen so often. And what happens in most of my games, they just panic with rook f4, which allows first mate after g6. Only move king takes, checkmate on h5. Hundreds of games I've won like this. So with this exact mating net. So that is the point why I played bishop d3, big frat. Now on f6, I think queen h5 is definitely the best move, because otherwise if you go for something like takes, you're risking to lose control over the center. So queen h5 is nice because g6 is also not working, same motive, and you will get to see that this idea is very useful. I think it's precise to start with this and then rook h3, bring it over to g3, just crashing. Maybe it's a bit better to play rook h3 in this position so that he doesn't get rook f7. Yeah, it's just gonna get mated with this. It's like all of his pieces are like unable to join. White is just getting a typical mating attack. So he played pretty well in the game. He went f5 and yeah, curious to see what the computer thinks about this position. Yeah, g4 top line. So I know this is like the right move to go for in general. It's just that you kind of have to figure out the move by move stuff depending on any position that you play. So he went g6, rook f7. Yeah, rook f7 was a mistake because he was specifically vulnerable to e6 idea. Perhaps an improved version for him would have been to play rook e8 so he no longer gets forked. But I still believe white should be better here somehow. Yeah, computer, it's flagging this bishop g3 move. Idea being to just retreat, and this definitely looks very good. On bishop g7, I assume there's simply knight f3 to protect e5 pawn, and can just continue with the attack, and white does have a very nice initiative. Then the way the game continued, e6 just winning, having he played g takes. Once again, you could do whatever. You can go rook g1, you can castle. Any move wins at this point. Yeah, this would have been like pretty natural, followed by castle. Perhaps just like double up, play rook g7, and enjoy your free win. So yeah, with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game. All right, everybody, getting another white game. Gonna be trying out the London system. Gonna go knight f3 and then bishop out. We see pawn to e6, meaning we're gonna go for kingside attack. Playing bishop f4, knight f6. We go e3. And is he gonna play bishop to d6? That's the question. Oh, he plays b6. Now, b6 move is pretty interesting because it may be preparing to try to trade off the bad bishop with bishop a6, and I'm gonna be going for a very sneaky move. Just saying, all right, go bishop a6 if you want, because that would have actually been a blunder. You can try to pause the video and find why. And in that position, we can simply take. Knight has to recap, and then we have queen a4. Winning a piece, this is one of the most common traps for the variation. So if he wants to trade the bishops, he has to play a5 or something like that. We still have no way to avoid it, but we can get a good version by delaying developing our light squared bishop. h4 also sometimes an idea to improve the position. Now knight d7, just gonna go knight b to d2. Always play this move and expecting him to, yeah, I mean, play bishop b7 sooner or later. He plays c5, meaning no bishop d6. I'm gonna go bishop d3. Idea to meet c4 with bishop c2, of course, keeping the bishop on the right diagonal. Yeah, c4. Quickly looking whether it's an idea to sacrifice. I mean, I was maybe thinking the knight could join, but it's not a thing. Typically, 99% of the time, c4, you just slide back. Plays bishop to e7. Now we have a bit of an interesting position because whenever he goes c4, sort of releasing pressure in the center, e4 is the way to break. However, same kind of typical plan with knight e5 is quite strong too. So I'm just going to stick with knight e5. Maybe knight c6 is like a huge threat. Going to be pretty annoying for him to deal with. With bishop b7, he may be threatening to play knight e4. So going to go queen f3. Controlling that square and preparing the typical queen h3. And please pay attention the way I'm doing this. I'm not playing bishop g3 f4 like a lot of people would do. I want to make sure we're bringing all the pieces into the attack. It is basically now like a full London system symphony, like a whole orchestra that is taking place into this party here. Just look how nicely all the pieces are like kind of involved and we're ready to do this. Now, g6, funny enough, it's actually the best defensive resource that my opponent could have gone for, because he's sort of shutting down the light squared bishop. However, it does have a drawback. So problem with this move is that it allows us to go bishop h6, hitting the rook. Knight e5 will of course just take, and then he was dealing with an uncomfortable double attack. And now here, it's a good moment to try to pause the video because we have a very strong move that is just something that I think any London system player should be looking forward to find in like a blink. You really don't want to have many candidates here. So with that, I'm talking about f4, supporting the knight. And we can take with the f pawn, so this basically makes knight takes on e5 never really an option for my opponent. What he should try to do is definitely knight e4. However, I think it's like at least losing a pawn. By the way, yeah, now that I'm looking at it, typical ideas on knight e4. I think we could take, and maybe also bishop a4 could be a thing. Do not forget about this motive to like activate the bishop. It's pretty concrete, but it could work sometimes. Like for instance, even now that the bishop is restricted by these pawns, definitely makes a lot of sense to activate it using this diagonal. Yeah, I'm not necessarily saying bishop a4 is best, but it definitely makes a lot of sense. Could have castled as well. Yeah, now he wants b5, so probably just want to go in. Knight c6 is a move. d7 is a move. I mean, simplest is just to infiltrate in his camp like this. And then we're ready to castle, follow it up with g4, g5. I mean, perhaps I could just start g4, g5 right away. Point being, yeah, g4, maybe he wants 95 and check. So I'm just gonna do this in case he takes and takes on c6. We have pressure on the f file. So the bishop's kind of immortal in his camp. Definitely he is feeling pretty uncomfortable now, I would assume at least. Maybe he just doesn't understand what's going on, so he just doesn't care. Now we're gonna be doing this idea. g4, g5. If he trades, I'm like happy to take back with a queen. He could go knight e5 and knight g4. Okay, that's a move too, but I just feel like it shouldn't be working. We must have some kind of an attack right now. Has rook c6, so that's what he was playing for. I would assume probably he just blundered, honestly, but he has that move. And now, if I could play like two moves in a row, knight f3, g5, that's probably crashing. But also maybe simple knight e5 should kind of do the job. If he takes, definitely I think we should be winning. Should go back, and then that gives us ideas of playing knight f7. Tricky position. I'm gonna start with, yeah, like king h1. Just not gonna rush with this whatsoever. It's like he's playing down a bishop. We don't really care. Okay, knight f6 can take that. Could go like rook g1. I'm just gonna go knight e5. We have only like 10 seconds left, but we may be able to deliver double sack on g6, which is gonna end the game pretty quickly. Gonna go rook g3, so we have rook h3 ideas as well. Keep in mind knight h5 we can take. In case he does that. And I just wanna go like rook g3. If knight d7, yeah, knight g6 is interesting. He's gonna try queen f8, but I go back. Oh, that's free knight. f6, knight g6. He's starting to panic, so definitely he feels like he's sort of about to flag us, but yeah, we'll allow this kind of mating things. Okay, check, pick up the queen. Queen g7, queen e8 mate. So he has to go like king f8, pick up the queen. Then we, oh, that just allows mate in one. So managed to get the game in time. This one was like a little bit slippery at the end because I didn't have like a lot of time left. Apparently we made one mistake. Wonder what that was. Just gonna run a quick game review so you can jump us directly to that moment. So apparently g4 was a bit of a mistake. Oh, so apparently at this point we have a simple way of winning a pawn, which I didn't really consider. So everything was like very good until now. Like I think we played perfect moves. We're just supposed to go bishop d7 and then bishop g5. So what this does, in case he moves the queen, I would assume there is a knight takes on f7 idea. Yeah, knight f7 is the point. And then there is queen h7, bishop g7, and knight is coming with checkmate incoming because rook h8, knight e5. Notice how the rook opens up, which is just going to be decisive. We're just going to be able to infiltrate, and rook f7 comes next move. So for this reason, yeah, on bishop g5, he will be forced to play something like f6, but then they're just losing a pawn. So instead we play g4, where the position is still like better for us. However, it got a little bit messy after he finds this strong move. I was honestly sort of expecting more something like this, where, yeah, I wasn't sure. I was debating between something like this and this structure. We are down a pawn, but as you can see, it's almost like a +1 for white because this bishop is just not doing anything. We're able to infiltrate. Then the knight will join, like, let's say, go to g5, h4, h5 ideas. Let me have my own doubts that black can survive with no active moves for the rest of the game, and we have clear entry squares. However, he found the best try. And I definitely burned a bit of time here. It's an even position. I'm actually like pretty happy about this king h1 find. As you can see, it's one of the top moves. It's pretty logical because it's preparing to bring the rook. Now, I think obviously black could defend better, but this is like a common theme for this rating range as well. If you put your opponents under pressure, yeah, just the threat that way could potentially go there, maybe knight g6 and get some kind of attack. Really freaked out my opponent. I mean, honestly, idea would have been to push and then yeah, push maybe knight f3 and then we sacrifice the knight. This just looks very juicy. I wouldn't be surprised if a stronger engine finds this position already better for white. Like my estimation would be if I put this position onto lila, it's gonna give like maybe +1 advantage. So I'm actually gonna do that and let you know. But for now, he just clearly went with the knight on the edge of the board, allowing us to take and we're up a piece. The rest is pretty simple. And typical for this rating range, they just immediately collapse. So we were kind of right in a way that e6 gets played, bishop is locked, we're gonna checkmate their king. Look at the final picture. So with that being said, I think we can move on to the following game. Alright everybody, to my disappointment, I did test this position quite a bit on Lila, and it turns out the position should actually be a draw with perfect play, which is sort of what the chess.com engine was kind of like suggesting as well. But you can see here in kind of like the bottom right, the eval is just 0-0. I mean, at the end of the day, we are down a pawn and we have very easy plays. So I would definitely pick white like any day of the week because of black's poor bishop. And we have pretty easy ideas to like double up and put pressure against the black king. So yeah, with that being said, I will just let you enjoy the rest of the video. Right, everybody, getting the white pieces, gonna be trying out the London system, and yes, d5, gonna be playing the best move order, starting with the knight, and then only after that we're gonna be officially sort of entering the London system. In case opponent is playing a weird aggressive c5, I recommend you go for d takes on c5, which can usually just lead to very quick victories. Bishop to g7. We do have sort of like a Grunfeld setup where I recommend you just play with e3, c3. Main idea being to capture on c5 if that gets played. If they don't play that, they can just resign. So pretty easy and straightforward. Okay, I'm just kidding. We have other ideas that are pretty interesting to go for. So gonna begin with the knight, not in a rush to develop the bishop. The bishop will typically land on e2 in these structures. Typical mistake against fianchetto setups. White players are going bishop d3, where the bishop is not really that useful, sort of staring into this pawn. So just make sure to keep that little idea in mind. And well, c5 we take. For this reason, b6 is kind of popular move at the top level nowadays, just preparing bishop b7 and then c5, while avoiding d takes ideas, because white will no longer win a pawn in that case. Against c6, generally, whenever I'm facing this type of move, I have to say I am pretty happy, because it's not playing in the center and it's more of like a slower approach. So typically, yeah, I think I like to start with knight e5. Just, well, we could develop the bishop, but this move is just like so nice to play. Making sure we get to support the knight in the middle. That's a pretty instructive idea. Now, this is actually getting very interesting because opponent plays knight h5, a move that I was considering, but I was not thinking he will actually play it. So for that reason, if you're afraid of this type of ideas, you can always play moves like h3, perhaps even h4, which is quite typical against Fianchetto. But I don't think knight h5 is a problem because, well, I was thinking bishop e2 as a simple way of dealing with this. Another idea that just crossed my mind now that I'm thinking he may be playing f6. I could be a bit prophylactic and play bishop d3 this time. I know I just said that is not a good move, but the situation has changed after his weird move. Because on f6 we will have ideas of sacrificing the knight, potentially giving us an opportunity where the queen may land on h5 with checkmate ideas. So I do believe that's a very viable move. So gonna go bishop d3, and in case of f6, knight takes. It is gonna be basically forced if we decided to play it in this fashion. Now opponent goes queen b6, which is yeah, not doing much, but just attacking the pawn on b2, which yeah, we can defend in many ways. Rook b1 is definitely a viable move. We can also sort of ignore that threat. I mean, yeah, I can also play queen to c2, still keeping ideas to go f6, knight g6, but then the queen has a little bit of a hard time entering the attack. So I think for this reason, gonna play rook to b1. Still really expecting him to go f6. Goes knight to d7. Okay, I don't mind. These pawns are like anyways very good because they are supporting the knight on e5, so that is just making sure opponent literally has no counterplay. Can just go for castle. I mean, rook to e1. Still, in case of that, considering takes, it looks like opponent is a big Ben Feingold enjoyer, so he's never playing f6. I mean, good for him. Can go for takes. He may take with a knight, which is a little bit annoying. So gonna trade this. And then I'm just thinking, okay, c5 is usually answered by taking. Can get like a rook on the open file, setting up a trap because d4. I think knight b3 is nice for us. Attacking both of these guys. Expecting a move like e6, then preparing to play queen e2. Just a typical position for what I like to call the Berkish structure in the London system course. Knight's going to d4, rook to d1, just pretty easy to play in general. Is he gonna go e5? I mean, in case he does that, I guess we don't really mind since he's gonna get isolated pawn. And yeah, that should be good for us. Getting a tempo on the queen. Queen c7, we can just protect this with g3. Just gonna go rook d1 now. Slowly but surely improving our pieces. Okay, bishop b5. Considering to take and then playing a3. I think bishop b5 was an inaccuracy by him. It's clearly trying to say, okay, rook d5, rook a2. He gets counterplay, but I feel like this pawn is now a pretty bad target in the long run, and we do get very good control over the center. So we're ready to play knight d4, and then, yeah, this is big threat. So you may even have to give up the Fianchetto bishop, where we're going to be taking with the rook, just avoiding double pawn for no reason. And simple plan, king g2, just expand, try rook h1. It's not a lot, but Just an easy position that we can maneuver around. E5, by the way, has no threats since the rook is pinned, so maybe that's a thing to keep in mind. Do you guys want to sacrifice the queen? And it's probably not amazing here, so might not play it in that fashion. Also, by the way, like knight b3, rook d5 smells winning. Just gonna do that. I mean, I was ready to go ahead, play like a long game and squeeze him, but you'll see that oftentimes opponent in this rating range, when they just have like a slightly worse position, they will not have the patience to try and actually defend it. So they will usually go for this kind of rushed pawn breaks that may very well just give you an easy win. Queen c6 I think should be best now, attacking and defending. Yeah, he finds it. I think taking is not like mandatory, but it's a very interesting exchange sack, so I'm gonna go for it. Preparing to play knight d4, he will be taking with the bishop, we take with the pawn, we improve our pawn structure, we're gonna get knight d4, most likely winning pawn on b5, and we do get to support these pawns. So yeah, I'm making a bit of a practical decision because I don't have a lot of time on the clock, but this will definitely make my game a little bit easier to play. I pretty much know what my next 5 to 6 moves are. Just gonna go f4 and try to expand, just slowly but surely building up the pressure. Not sure if you guys can feel the pressure, but my opponent is definitely on the edge right now. Just gonna go e6. The pawn is gonna be quite immortal on that square. This very much still remains an idea. You can always take on b5. I mean, I don't really think of that as such a serious option. Okay, I have to take this way because the knight needs protection. Yeah, I don't think about like taking the pawn as a serious option, but now that he hands it for free, why not? I think we need queens on the board to win with a limited amount of time, or perhaps just an improved version of the endgame. So, in case he takes with the queen, I'm happy to trade. If he takes with the pawn, I play f5. If he takes with the queen, we will have important move, rook a1, controlling only open file. At this point, he needs to do that move in order not to be like completely busted. He's still lost, however. If I get to play f5, he literally has no counterplay. Rook is ready to infiltrate, knight controls everything. Just gonna do king f2 as a move to kind of cut away some of these squares. Ready to infiltrate. I could try to make some better use of the knight, even though knight is already like okay. Could think of this move to infiltrate. He should play like rook f8. Yeah, that move not gonna help him. Rook f7, f6 idea next. He should play rook f8 again. He does not. Rook g7 coming. King e5. Yeah, I just gave him a chance to walk away. He didn't. Oops. We're gonna check. Let me infiltrate. OP king. Oh, I could have taken free rook. Oh, all right. Managed to get a checkmate. Was a little bit messy at the end. But we were in control kind of the whole game. So, yeah, I mean, just nothing really special. I have to say that opponent played like really well for his rating. I mean, until bishop b5. Like bishop b5, I consider an unnecessary mistake. No idea why he would play it. He has completely okay position. Next up, I was ready to play maybe something like bishop b1, knight d4, g3, h4, try to expand slowly. On bishop b5, it just gives me like a race-free, easy position to play. And when e5 happens, I need time to like calculate here. I'm sure there is something really juicy. You can actually check it with the computer. if computer worked. I don't know why it's not showing the analysis. We just need to refresh. Sorry for that, guys. A little bit of confusion there. E5, show me the lines, please. Hey, why aren't you showing the lines? It looks like chess.com is busted, but yeah, I think we did go for like a reasonable option. I'm pretty sure this position, you can just go queen b5 and that is just like kind of completely winning. However, I thought this is like a pretty cute idea. Going for exchange sacrifice, which is very risk-free to play. Then at the end, he had like multiple chances to like walk away from what it was like a completely busted position because yeah, with 5 seconds, it was a little bit difficult to keep an eye on his counterplay. Like for instance, here he has rook d4 and then rook e6, which is a draw. Missed it, and then he's just busted, I think. King managed to hide. I mean, just take this, but yeah, we did manage to get a checkmate. So, critical mistake of this game. Definitely, bishop b5 had a big impact. He has a completely fine position, no worries whatsoever. Plays bishop b5 is clearly worse for the rest of the game with no chances of winning. And then, kind of decisive mistake was playing e5. However, he was about to like just get squeezed slowly but surely. So yeah, I think with that being said, we can move on to the following game. Alright, everybody, getting another white game. Gonna open up with d4 and against d5. Gonna begin with a knight. Getting ready to play bishop f4. And oh man, I mean, I don't actually get why people that are 1500 literally play bishop to f5 so often against second move knight f3. I mean, I guess we'll never find out. And he goes for a pretty cheeky move order with bishop d6, where I recommend you just slide back so you can take, and then you realize the same idea, perhaps just transposing back into the lines that we cover in the copycat variation. So you're going to play bishop d3. Happy to take back with the pawn. And okay, bishop to e4, it's actually an interesting move. It is not great, but I've definitely seen this occasionally. Mainly considering just 92, inviting him to take. Same idea, take back with a pawn. Knight would be a little bit better placed on c3, let's say, but getting this juicy pawn structure definitely makes it pretty nice for us to play. Can start with e4. I'm just gonna do rook c1. However, always make sure to place your rooks onto the open files. Place knight h5. Weird looking move. I could just do the bishop and escape. Could also do knight e5. I actually like knight e5 in this spot just because we may be getting some decent attacking chances along the h file. So yeah, knight e5. A lot of people actually completely forget about the fact that the queen is attacking the knight, and looks like opponent included. Gonna pick that one up, and he's gonna be like, where the heck did that knight disappear? I don't know, my friend. Just gonna take. Has rook f5. Not a problem. Queen back. Bishop b4. Don't really care. King is quite safe on d2. We're gonna do double attack. Ready to recapture. Is nowhere near of creating any kind of attacking ideas against our king because he's just behind in development. Plays queen e7, however, good move, defending and perhaps having ideas. Queen covers b4 anyway, so Gonna do h4. I bet he will forget about this. It's just my bet. The queen is waiting there like a sniper to take his queen if it lands. But he did realize kind of like last second. Wanna infiltrate with the bishop? He may be willing to sidestep. Yeah, king h8 is a bit problematic since I don't have a clear-cut way to win that. That's pretty unfortunate. Do you guys want to win with like a lot of pawns? Okay, I'm just gonna start with f4. Is f4 a good move? Okay, let me actually try to play decent still. Okay, let's go f4. Expecting knight c6. Other move than knight c6, not really making a whole lot of sense. Knight c6, perhaps I just play d4. Blocking the center. Play knight a6. Yeah. Don't really get this. I think it's just time to go for a small vacation. Yeah, King has been having a pretty busy schedule lately, so time to take him to a more like silent place where, let's say, he can recharge his batteries. No need to stay on like such a busy square all the time. Actually, we came from here. Opponent attacking the pawn. Interesting concept. You can defend your pawns. You may want to give it a try. Final destination, G1. Pretty exotic, I know. It was a really long trip. Almost feels like a different continent. But this type of ideas are definitely quite common and something that you can really take advantage of, especially in close positions where time is not really that important. It's more important to figure out what the right plan is. How do you figure out what the right plan is? You subscribe to the channel. That is definitely gonna help you. Well, not only improve your chess games, but also add a few extra inches to your penis. So you may very well just give it a try. You have nothing to lose at this point. So bishop g3, just defending f4 in advance. Maybe you want to be careful with taking because there is this idea. Definitely nothing to be afraid of. Just asking for a friend. What is the knight on a6 actually doing? Like, how on earth do you come up with the idea like, let me come up with a plan. Just gonna place my knight on a6. That's like an interesting square. Bro, you've got like the wrong chess tutorial. The knight is not supposed to stay on the edge of the board. Especially when you could have developed it on the natural square. Typical mistakes that keep average people. I mean, this one is a pretty strong player, frankly speaking. Like 1500 blitz. I already consider this to be pretty decent players. That's like equivalent of 1800 in rapid. So 1500 already better than 95% of the player pool online. So these are pretty decent people that are still making fundamental mistakes. It really drives me nuts. And almost trapped his own rook too. Things are only getting worse for my opponent. So starting to fall in like a domino effect kind of fashion. I'm just blackmailing his rook constantly. This is pretty rough for opponent. Now knight is kind of dominated. I literally wanna double up, play rook f8, win his queen. That's all I'm asking for. e5. Maybe wants that. Okay. Time to win some material because of the check. Queen b7, collecting the knight. Probably knight b8. I want to go like rook f7. I mean, Could very well just start taking c5 at this point. Knight e7 infiltrate the other way. If I was him, see, that's the problem with 1500 rated players. They don't even try their shot. Just go queen g6, bro. Take on g3, hope for perpetual. At least that. I mean, I can even go king h1 and I win, but at least try something. He's not even trying. Like, that's the problem with my opponent. He's gonna play knight f6, then we just take it. He's not even trying to survive this game. So, you're gonna be losing a lot of rating points because one of the biggest mistakes people do in 1500 rated games, they just don't watch out for counterplay. So, guess what? You can take advantage of it by getting counterplay. Okay, so he wants this, just yeah, I'm just gonna do it this way. Use the other rook, so on queen e2 there is rook f2. Using both rooks for the defense. Have to say, I'm quite a bit down on time. Okay, h5, good move at least. But once we trade queens off, should be game over. Have to just speed up a bit. Oh, rook does not move that way. All right. You learn something new every day. I'm gonna exchange everything. Yeah, just two pawns in the endgame. Easy win. Easy pre-movable win especially. Just gotta make a bunch of pre-moves and... But actually not even gonna win on the board because he's the one that's about flag. Oh, no, we did. We actually won by checkmate. Pretty close. Pretty close. I have to say, I did trash talk my opponent pretty hard and harsh in the same time. But hey, that's what he gets for blundering the h5 knight. And okay, the rest was actually not that simple. I feel like I didn't play it perfect, but I feel like the most instructive moment of this game was the fact that, okay, king is pretty ugly there. Frankly speaking, now that I look at it, perhaps a bit easier would have been to hide the king on b1. Okay, that was not like... maybe that was like a little bit unnecessary, but hey, come on, this was pretty juicy. Okay, b1 was just too close. b1 was, okay, we just go out of town. We went on a different continent with this maneuver, which was fine. Computer approves it, so other positions way safer when you don't have to watch out for like any crazy things that may happen to your king. So, yeah. With that being said, I think we can move on to the following game.